Hi, I'm Nicole Bradford, and I'm a core advisor for BrainMind, and I'm here with Anna Maiques, who is the CEO and founder of Neuroelectrics. So, Anna, you gave an amazing talk today. Would you share with our audience a bit about what you covered?
Well, first of all, I'm so happy to hear BrainMind is one of my favorite events ever. And today I talk about my now ultimately famous cap, which is this technology that we have developed at Neuroelectrics that, of course, I always wear. And any of the electrodes I'm wearing can either sense your brain, gather your electrical signals in the brain, but any of the electrodes can inject currents into the brain. Why is this relevant? Because we can help diseases such as epilepsy or depression, and we can really, with electricity, reduce seizures or improve depression so that patients can wear this at home. And I think it's a game changer in terms we deal with brain diseases.
Mm-hmm. And what is the most important thing you want people to understand and take away about your research?
I think that the most important thing that I want people to take away is that I think we've been looking at the brain from a completely only drug molecule perspective, but the brain is this vast computer of electrical connections. It's like a network. So what about if we could decode it? You know, what networks are affected when you suffer from depression? Can we decode those and then stimulate them and targetedly, selectively, right? So I think that there is a new way and a new age for the brain, and it has to do with the currency of the brain, which is electricity.
Mm-hmm. And then when you are thinking about what you talked about, there wasn't a lot of time to really drop in. What do you wish you could have added to the talk? What would you like to drop into a little bit more deeply?
Well, I think that I didn't have a lot of time. I mean, I talk about how this device is not only the device that you can take home and non-invasively monitor and stimulate, it's also the computational neuroscience model, because in the brain, as complex as it is, the most important thing is where do you stimulate, you know, and how does the brain work, right? And that's the computational neuroscience model that I described. But I think that the patient stories are amazing, right? Like the fact that you have patients, and I didn't talk about patients with epilepsy that have been like 20 years refractory to medication. The only alternative is surgery. So having a non-invasive approach to reduce seizures and improve their lives, I think is so big, right? And I think in BrainMind, we should talk more about patient experiences and outcomes and how our technologies and this community is helping those patients today.
Wonderful. Well, you mentioned a little bit about computational neuroscience, and AI is starting to have a really big impact on that. It's a very hot topic. People are really curious about it too. How do you foresee, or how do you see AI supporting your work?
Well, I think that in the brain, if you don't work with AI, it's very hard, because as we know, it's such a complex 100 billion neurons communicating, right? At the same time, I think that in AI for us, it's more about personalization. So we envision a future in which you can send a patient home with our device, you gather their brain signals, they go into this computational neuroscience, and then you receive a personalized protocol or stimulation paradigm that is for your physical brain and for your electrophysiological brain. So these computational neuroscience models of the brain, they help us to simulate how the brain will respond and to personalize therapies in ways we haven't been able to do in psychiatry or in neurology for a very long time.
Mm-hmm. And with this, what are some of the problems, or what are the big obstacles or big problems to be solved for your work to be available on a mass market basis to everyone? Everyone who needs can get the support that they need. What are the problems, or what are the things that need to be addressed?
One thing that I find very hard as an entrepreneur is that you have to have so many things right? You start with the science, which has to be spotless, right? And we've seen so many scientists today. Then you have to have a good product, but a product that is robust, that doesn't, that works fine in any environment. And then when you have that, you have to go through the regulatory path if you want to get to patients, right? Which is a big obstacle. But now that we're almost finished with that, then is reimbursement, who is going to pay, and then market access. So you always have this feeling of lifting, the next mountain that it's,
Yeah.
or the next rock that is even like stronger. But on the other hand, when you start to talk about reimbursement, market access, and deployment, it means you're getting closer to the patients, right? So those obstacles, which I think they become harder and harder, are so exciting because it's like, wow, we are discussing about who will pay for this and how are we going to deliver to patients, which means that we are closer to turn a beautiful idea, right, into something that will impact millions of patients.
Mm-hmm. And so for any of the other scientists or researchers or funders or even politicians out there who are interested in seeing this type of work widely accessible, what are the things that they can do to support the effort?
Well, I think that everybody plays a role. Like entrepreneurs, we couldn't live without the basis of good scientists or collaborations with scientists, without having, the best investors, right, to support us. The politicians also to help us reduce some of the huge barriers, right, that we are confronted. And I think at the end, to me the answer is, can this great village of BrainMind, this community, really support these innovations and make sure we speed up the pace in which it reaches, patients, right? And I think that everybody plays a role. The one that is risking their money, for something that, still far away, the scientists that are transferring knowledge to companies, the politicians that are, putting bills to reduce burdens. So I think everybody has a role.
Mm-hmm. Great. And then one last question. If someone were to ask you about what BrainMind is, what would you say? And if they were to ask you if they should come, what would you tell them?
Well, BrainMind is by far my favorite community of really stunning, incredible people, right? People that are very different because, some of them are scientists, some of them are entrepreneurs, some of them are investors, but somehow we are a hive, right? We are all together for the brain and the mind, and the energy in the room, the willingness to learn and support each other is like I have never seen in any other communities. So you should be a part of it.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for your time.